in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Hello. Welcome. It's a Monday. It's the last Monday in June. Yep, and it's a short week because the 4th of July comes on this Friday, of course. Just a reminder to you. So I'm sitting here with bated, actually frightened breath, waiting to see if this illustrious Supreme Court of ours is about to create yet more havoc in its decision regarding whether or not corporations have freedom of religion. I guess is essentially what's on the table with this Hobby Lobby case. So this, I always think you guys are ahead of me on these things, but just quickly, I mean, this is one of the cases that popped off after the Affordable Care Act, aka Obamacare, became reality. And the Affordable Care Act, as you know, mandates that employers cover women's health and women's health at no extra charge. So no extra charge for maternity issues, no extra charge for mammograms, things like that. Women, believe it or not, insurance companies have had their way with us. But what's freaked out the owners of Hobby Lobby and another firm owned by Mennonites here in Pennsylvania, both of whom are parties to this suit, is that they are owned by people who are against the idea of women having contraception. I mean, okay, fine. But they say that the Act, Affordable Care Act, forces them to then provide something to their employees that they find that offends their religious sensibilities, essentially. Now, Hobby Lobby, I think, did I hear it had as many as, how could it have 35,000 employees? That can't be. That sounds like too much. Let's just say they have 10,000 employees. I don't know. So that is owned by an evangelical Christian, and they're saying that they do not want to provide this service, this health service, to their employees. I don't know. Given this court, you already know right now on Hobby Lobby's side, without even listening to an argument or reading a brief, would be Clarence Thomas and Alito. Probably Scalia, but he can be a strange one. I don't know. I'm very nervous about this because this could open such a can of worms. Because if they're going to say, if they keep going with this corporations are people stuff, which is what the basis was for their outrageous, what am I blanking on? The United case. What is that? United. Citizens. United case. In which they said that corporations, of course, are people, and so people can give to campaigns, and there's no reason why corporations should not. So if they keep that going, then they could well find in Hobby Lobby. But think of all the things. If our religious beliefs as employers can trump, I don't know, a lot of stuff, where does that lead? I've often thought, if I could on religious grounds protest paying my taxes, because there's a lot of things my taxes go to that I don't want to pay for because it offends my moral sensibilities, right? I mean, I don't know how Hobby Lobby's evangelical Christian owner, if he's so pro-life, does he want to have drones that he pays for as a taxpayer, killing perhaps an innocent child somewhere in Pakistan? I would think that would offend his Christian belief and break a commandment. I don't see, if they do what I'm afraid they're going to do, how this is going to end well. Anyway, I'll leave it, and we'll await. It's sort of weird how this is the one everybody wanted to. This is the case everybody was anxious about. And this is interesting because this is going to be the last. These guys are putting out their ruling today and running. They wait till the very last to put out. And the other case is a union case. I think they're going to really put it to unions today, and I'm scared to death that they're going to put it to the Affordable Care Act today. I don't know. We shall wait. Sometimes the court surprises you. We'll see. I mean, one of the arguments, just one other one, is that let's say you work for a corporation that is run by is it Christian Scientists or Jehovah's Witnesses who don't believe in medical care? A Christian Scientist. And the Christian Scientist guy could say, well, it is against I don't believe in medical intervention at all. I'm not going to afford, I'm not doing any of this. None of this health insurance. We don't believe in any of it. I won't pay for blood transfusions. I'm not going to do any of that. This is also the kind of mischief that happens when you don't have a coherent, rational health delivery system, as we do not in this country. And instead, we decided that employers should be responsible. Well, I think that, first of all, that's the biggest part of this problem. Why employers, why who you work for should have anything to do with your access to medical care is, if you think about it, bizarre. But we're so used to having our medical care hooked into where we work that it doesn't strike us as odd. Just like if you've lived all your life in Pennsylvania, it doesn't strike you as odd that you can't buy booze at the grocery store. You don't know anything else, maybe. All right, anyway, that's it. We'll just wait. You can tell I'm nervous. I'm nervous and blah, 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 blah. So there's gay rights parades that were all over the... Well, how come Pittsburgh has its parade so early? Because I guess June is Gay Pride Month, so it could be any time in June. Pittsburgh goes to the earlier part of the month. New York had its big Pride Parade yesterday, and there was an extremely unusual contingent. I just want to draw attention to it. I don't know if it's gotten a lot of attention. And that was a group of uniformed Boy Scouts in the Gay Pride Parade. Whoa, that's totally cool. However, they might be in trouble because Boy Scout officials, this is the Nationals, have said that Scouts are forbidden to wear their uniforms in events that support social or political positions, including gay pride events. And in the past, when Scouts or an individual Scout or a Scoutmaster has done so, they have been dealt with. So all these Boy Scouts in New York who marched proudly in the parade in the city this weekend could be in some trouble. It says here, this is in the city section of the New York Times, as the group passed the Stonewall Inn, which is, of course, the bar in the West Village that begot the gay rights movement. I mean, iconically did. As the group passed the Stonewall, it paused, the Boy Scouts did, and gave their salute to the Stonewall. Yeah, that's good. We'll see if they get in big trouble. They might. Georgia on my mind. Guys, today is the day, this passed a while ago, but tomorrow's the day that this law that Georgia passed that says you can pretty much have a gun anywhere, at any time in the state. It goes into effect tomorrow. This is the one that Georgia passed that says you can carry guns into churches, into bars, into restaurants, into airports. How many of you fly through Atlanta? It's a big airport. I think it's the busiest airport, is it not? Hartsfield? Do you know that it is? It's legal. It will be tomorrow for people to have guns at that airport. Now, they can't clear the TSA security check, but up until that point, all of the folks standing in line at the security check, there could be a bunch of people with guns. How much sense does that make? So here's the one saving grace in this stupidity. The law does say that if a restaurant or if a church chooses, they can post a sign that says, "Not here." You can't do it here. And what's interesting is, of course, that churches that have a whole ton of NRA carrying gun packing members are, of course, not posting such signs because they'd lose their congregation. So there'll be a lot of churches in Georgia that will have a lot of people sitting in there with their guns. The Catholic Archdiocese of Atlanta says, no guns in the church. As did the the Episcopal Bishop of Georgia, who has said, you can't carry them in our churches. Firearms of any kind have no place in any of our church buildings, said the Episcopalian bishop. So you can do that, and there's a picture here in the Wall Street Journal of a woman who owns a pub and grill, and she says, I don't want them in here. I don't think alcohol and guns mix. I think that's a pretty intelligent statement. They don't at all. So she is going to post a sign saying, Now, doing that in the great state of Georgia could mean she's going to see a backlash. And so business owners are really having to decide who to piss off. Are they going to lose the customers who want the posting, or are they going to lose the customers who will take offense if they post that they are not allowed to bring their guns in? All of this is going to happen tomorrow. By the way, this applies to schools. Did I forget schools? Colleges. Just about anywhere in Georgia. And as I said, if you're flying through Atlanta, watch yourself. People are, businesses are running into trouble. There was a steakhouse, it's in Augusta, T-Bones, that posted a no-gun sign after the law was signed in April, but before, obviously, it is going to be instituted. And the manager was interviewed, and she said, well, we didn't want you to come in, get drunk, and shoot up the place. Well, that reaction of hers got quite a reaction. And gun rights advocates were all over the restaurant, all over the bar. They were on social media talking boycotts, and man, she took her sign down right away. She said, we have heard from our customers, and now at T-Bones Steakhouse in Augusta, Georgia, you can be assured that many of the folks who are cutting into their porterhouses are going to be packing. Jeez. And Jess, you want to go south. Jess wants to fly south. Jess is in love with the South.
No,
That's where you're going. You want to go to this place with all these yahoos carrying guns. There's enough of them. And they obviously control their legislatures. Jeez. God. Well, if you ever do go and you go south, my going away gift to you is going to be a bulletproof vest or something of that nature. So we still haven't seen anything from the court?
No.
Dang it! All right, because I can't help it. I'm really nervous about that. I am. Okie doke. I'll tell you what. Break away quickly and come on back. And I have some medical news and UPMC news. I love them. You know I do. In a minute.
Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com or call Lynn at 412-316-3381. Lynn Cullen Live will return in a moment.
Pick up the Pittsburgh City Paper today. Still the #1 source for weekend fun in the Burgh. Go online now at pghcitypaper.com to vote in the 2014 Best of Pittsburgh Readers Poll and type in promo code CPJATIX for your chance to win Jason Aldean tickets. Vote now before it's too late. Pittsburgh City Paper available at over 1,700 locations throughout Western Pennsylvania and on the web at pghcitypaper.com and on your smartphone at citypapermobile.com.
I didn't know about chronic obstructive pulmonary disease until I took the wheel and lent my support to Drive for COPD. Help Americans take action against this leading cause of death by logging on to driveforcopd.org to learn more. I'm Nancy Cartwright, the voice of Bart Simpson, and I drive for COPD.
You're listening to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Once again, here's Lynn Cullen.
Oh, boy. Okay. Oops. Sorry. Part of my sling just...
Oh, no.
Man, what would they have done without... What would we have done without Velcro? What would this thing look like? There's so much Velcro on it. Okay, apparently the court has handed down the union case, and I don't know what. I'm waiting till something loads here. Okay. Did you see that the feds, as in Medicare, are warning a bunch of hospitals throughout the country that they're going to be penalized financially if they don't do a lot better at how many people get infected when they come to their hospital. A hospital is like the one you do not want to be in a hospital. There's a lot of bad stuff in hospitals, and it gets passed around. And so infection rates, people coming out, a lot of people go into a hospital and end up like dying from something they pick up in the hospital. Scared to death of those places. I really am. I think we should all be issued hazmat suits the minute you end up in one of those places. So there's hundreds of hospitals throughout the country that are charging too much, apparently, and Medicare. I don't know. What am I talking about? I'm doing 3 stories at once, and then Ray's writing me. I can't multitask today. I am absolutely. He says, never mind Georgia. Lynn, in Pennsylvania, it's not illegal to conceal carry in a bar.
What?
Wait a minute. Okay, you can, if you have a concealed permit, you can't openly carry, but you can. So there are people in bars in Pennsylvania that are carrying. Why didn't I know that? Okay, but listen to this.
Employers with religious
no!
Can refuse to pay.
The court. I hate this court. Jess just said that the Supreme Court has come down and said that employers for religious reasons can refuse. What does it say exactly?
They can refuse to pay for contraception.
They can refuse to pay for contraception. Do they pay for Viagra? Well, usually they do. They'll pay for Viagra. They won't pay for contraception. Sons of bitches. Do you have a number? What was it, 5-4?
Doesn't say.
Of course it was 5-4. All right, so to finish Ray's email, in PA, it's not illegal. Get this! It's not illegal to carry a concealed weapon in a bar, but it is illegal to wear a bulletproof vest. What? 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 Okay. Let's see. I got it. Oh, and they also screwed the unions. Breaking news, Supreme Court deals sharp blow to public sector unions. 5-4 decision! Written by Alito. Serious blow to public sector unions. Oh, my God. Alito's opinion recognizes a category of what's called partial public employees who cannot be required to contribute funds to the collective bargaining that they then benefit from. I hate this court. I hate this court with such a passion. Okay, let me see what I can tell you about the... God, I'm sorry. This is very upsetting, and we will be talking about the ramifications of this for some time. And there are, oh, God, praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Your employer's religious beliefs can impact whether or not you're going to be able to afford contraception and I'm sure other medical necessities. This is focusing purely on women. Purely on women. Oh, dear Back to the Future, guys. What a screwed up country. Why am I not... Well, all right. I'm going to hold off until I can get... Why can't I get a better... if any of you have better access than I, would somebody email me something giving me a little more information? Hello?
Good morning, Lynn. Hey, it's Dave from Washington.
Yeah, hi. God.
Okay, I'm on SCOTUS blog right now reading this.
All right, what is it? Give me some of the... I want to kill... Who wrote the opinion?
It says, first off, this decision concerns only the contraceptive mandate and should not be understood to mean that all insurance mandates, that is, for blood transfusions and vaccinations, necessarily fail if they conflict with an employer's religious beliefs.
Wait a minute. So they're now discriminating against Christian Scientists, but, evangelical Christians, they'll give a pass to, but these other things like blood transfusions, which the justices don't identify with that particular proscription, religious proscription. Okay. It also
says, it does not provide a shield for employers who might cloak illegal discrimination as a religious practice.
I wonder how you prove that.
It comes up here a little bit. It is extremely likely that the Obama administration... Oh, wait. There's something back here about the government can pay for your insurance. So somebody wrote, it is extremely likely that the Obama administration will, by regulation, provide for the government to pay for the coverage. So it is unlikely that there will be a substantial gap in the coverage.
Well, here's the... Okay, so if the government then is going to step in to cover what these religious, now corporations won't, that means taxpayer dollars will be used.
Yep.
Well, now, wait a minute. The Hobby Lobby owner's a taxpayer, too. Why shouldn't he have a snit fit about his tax dollars going for contraception, right?
Yeah. Same reason why you can't really complain that your... tax dollars are going for, bombs and drones.
Well, but they made the case for on abortion. No tax dollars go for abortion.
Right. Well, let's see if we can pass a law in Congress saying no tax dollars for drones. I mean, that's what it comes down to. But, Hobby Lobby won for tightly held companies. Let me see, where is that little...
Tightly held companies?
Tightly held.
What does that mean?
So that means, I assume it means it's all family-held business.
It's all family. Okay. It's not. So it's not a public. It's not a public company.
Here it goes. Closely held corporations, and define that as you want, I guess. Cannot be required to provide contraceptive services or coverage. Blah 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 blah. The government has failed to show that the mandate is the least restrictive means of advancing its interest in guaranteeing cost-free access to birth control, which is where the government, and it says Justice Kennedy's concurring opinion, says that the government could pay for the coverage itself so that women receive it. So you're going to see that. That's what's going to happen. And then people are going to scream about that. But, but then, you're absolutely right, because some people say, well, some of this birth control, and this is the whole thing, prevents pregnancy after conception, so they consider that an abortion, and you're not allowed to provide taxpayer money for anything that causes, induces abortions. So there you're going to have a big stink about it again.
No, they've just opened this court is just brilliant at opening cans of worms. It's just brilliant.
Yep.
And now, what's another interesting thing is, of course, none of the women on the court were in the majority here. It's all male. It's all male, and it's all Christian. Christian
males. The interesting thing was, Scalia, in addition to his great endorsement last year of...
all Catholic, actually.
Pardon?
It's all Catholic. Every justice of these five. Am I right?
But here's Scalia going against his own prior ruling. 15, 20 years ago, I guess it was, I don't know, some Native Americans in Oregon, I believe it was, were drug tested at work and were fired because they had peyote in them.
That's right.
And they didn't appeal that. What they appealed was they were denied unemployment compensation because they were fired with cause for using illegal drugs. And their whole thing was, we were doing this as a religious rite, a religious ceremony. And Scalia, I'm pretty sure it was Scalia, Scalia is the one who said, tough. You cannot, on religious grounds, break generally applicable laws. Well, here he flip-flopped. Everybody loves that word. And now he's saying, yeah, you can, even on religious grounds. These guys did it on religious grounds. They were ruled against. Hobby Lobby wants to do it on religious grounds. And now Scalia, of course, supports them because Scalia is more interested in birth control than he is in drugs. Or something like that. I don't know. Anyways, that's where we are. I'll let you get back.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm starting to... Oh, God dang. This is why I was nervous, and understandably so, because exactly what I feared has happened. Oh, great. All right, so God help us with this court. So I'm serious. Were these all Catholics? I still haven't seen. I'm assuming 5-4, right? No one's told me this yet. I'm assuming 5-4. I'm assuming all women dissenting, talking about the justices. I'm assuming all Jews on the court dissenting. I'm assuming the majority are all males, and I think I'm assuming they're all Catholic. Because this court, we've said this before, right? This is an odd court religiously in that there isn't a Protestant on the court. Is that true? It all of a sudden strikes me as so bizarre, but I think that's true. So, well, the Vatican's celebrating. I'm sorry, I'm upset by this. So, until I get more information, I guess I'll just I'm gonna stop what I was talking about. I'm gonna go to something that I find delightful. Because I want to remind myself that life goes on and there's so much wonderful stuff going on in the world, and the news is generally not in the least bit interested in all of that. So let's go. Do you know what jooking is? You don't? I'm surprised. Jess is shaking her head no. J-O-O-K. Jooking. Okay, well, here... Strange that I should inform you, as an old lady. There is a review of a jooking contest in the New York Times today. It is written by their dance critic, Alistair Macaulay, who normally is critiquing ballet. And to cover this jooking contest, he had to travel down to Memphis, Tennessee, which is where jooking started. And I have seen jooking. It is amazing. It is a form of dance that emerged from, as so often is the case, from black culture, black American culture, and it is mind-blowing. You have seen, what is that called when you see guys spinning on their heads and... Like breakdancing. Okay, that too, an offshoot of black culture. This is not breakdancing. This is, let me just, I got to read to you this Alistair Macaulay. I can just imagine him in this room in Memphis where he does note that he was the only one there, whose pants were sitting around his waist. And he clearly felt like out of, but he's so went insane when he saw what these dancers were doing. And I'll just read some of it. He calls it literally, this is a breakthrough in the art of dance. And that nothing like it has been seen before, and it is that amazing. This kind of breakthrough happens rarely, he says. Steps and rhythms of bewildering audacity and speed. I saw something on TV about jooking, and I saw some of these guys, and it is mind-blowing. I would imagine on shows like So You Think You Can Dance that they've had some people do some jooky stuff. It doesn't look like anything that any of us could do. And again, the probably bow-tied Alistair Macaulay down there in Memphis, he spent 8 hours there watching this. He could not tear himself away. He said, "This may well be the single most exciting young dance genre of our time, featuring, in particular, the most sensationally diverse use of footwork." He's saying he's never seen anything like it. And this guy makes his living knowing what's going on with dance. He says, he runs out of superlatives. It is a riot to watch this. First of all, it's also a contest. So there's this competitive thing going on, and yet there's this appreciative thing with dancers like going nuts with what other dancers do. There's cleverness and wit that gets into the dance. It's brilliant stuff. Came out of Memphis. And he writes, watching these men, you feel that your idea of masculinity is being extended. The point work they do. Point work, he means like what ballerinas do. They do point work in their sneakers and do things on the tips of their toes. Now, maybe you've seen some of that before. That this guy can't even believe are possible. He says, one powerfully built man in the competition did a solo whose lyricism was extraordinary. He moved in fluent, calm phrases on point, often moving across the floor in a series of slow turns, on point. You will not see a male ballet dancer ever do something like that. That's what ballerinas do. And he's saying these big guys do it and make it look so masculine. He says several boys and young men did off-balance turns of astonishing complexity. And he says it's a genre that transforms our notion of what dance is. So, jooking, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you look it up on YouTube or something because it is mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. And this is one of those things that should be labeled, don't try this at home. It is, these guys, a lot of these guys, too, are not trained dancers. They're just natural. If you can get a dance critic from the New York Times to swoon as this guy swooned through this entire competition. It's mostly black guys, although he notes there was some white. It's almost all male, although there were some women. Okay? But I think part of that might be just the pure power of this required. Maybe makes more men capable or something. I don't know. But treat yourself. And Jook, jooking. Pretty amazing. I'm taking another break. I'm also going to get a transfusion or something. I'm going to take smelling salts because I personally want to, I'd like to go picket at the Supreme Court right now. But they have set up this huge, picket-free zone in front of their building. Never mind Planned Parenthood. They just ripped down the barrier over Planned Parenthood, right? These guys are an outrage. The worst and most dangerous activist court in my lifetime. God help us.
Stick around for more with Lynn Cullen Live after this.
While cutting molding with a 12-inch dual compound miter saw, while holding a newborn baby in your arms, when face-to-face with a congregation of alligators, with the ball in your hands and the entire freaking season on the line.
There are a million places you'd never consider texting, so why would you do it while driving? NASCAR driver Casey Kane here, asking you to please stop the text, and together we can stop the wrecks.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. Get the message at stoptextstoprex.org.
Download the brand new CP Haps app and find out what's going on in Pittsburgh. It's the fun and free app that puts the most popular events at your fingertips. Text events to 77948 to download now and register to win tickets to Pittsburgh versus Arizona at PNC Park on July 2nd. The CP Haps app, brought to you by Pittsburgh City Paper.
Have a question or an opinion? Call Lynn Cullen at 412-316-3381 or email lynn at pghcitypaper.com. Now, more with Lynn Cullen Live.
Yeah, the court is 6 Roman Catholics and 3 Jews. That's something. And so all the one female Catholic, that would be Sotomayor, it was not. I'm assuming this is a 5-4. I still don't have that information. God help us. Okay. Thank you, by the way, Milt. So, as I was saying before, the Medicare is targeting these hospitals. This is the front page in the PG today. That are having greater than usual hospital-acquired infection rates. Unfortunately, some of those hospitals they're targeting are right here in Pittsburgh. Oh, yeah. And you know what? A lot of them are, since, of course, they're in Pittsburgh, UPMC facilities, where if you go, you have a more likely chance of walking out with an infection that you didn't have before you walked in than if you were in most hospitals in the country. I don't ever understand why UPMC gets off making itself sound like it's some kind of be-all and end-all. And that's another thing I noticed while I was a patient there. I have been patients in other hospitals. And in the rooms that I've seen in other hospitals, you walk in the door of any room, and right there is one of those dispensers for sanitizing your hands. And every person who walked in that room would, before they did anything else, do this to their hands. It didn't matter why they were entering my room, they would do that. I did not see that at all. I do not recall in my stay at Montefiore seeing any provider wash his or her hands or disinfect them. Just saying. Never saw it. So on this list of hospitals in which you, the patient, are more at risk of getting an infection than others are UPMC Presby, where I had my surgery, UPMC Shadyside, UPMC Passivant, UPMC McGee Women's. All on the list. And in the interest of journalistic, Allegheny Health Network has two hospitals on the list. Forbes Regional in Monroeville, and the hospital they recently acquired in Erie. Wonderful. Also on UPMC News, ladies and gentlemen, the big news over the weekend was that UPMC and Highmark have something called a brokered truce. What a bunch of bull. I got to tell you, this is what the governor and managed to get these guys to agree to. At first, if you read the headline, you think, oh, good. They're saying that as of January 1, Highmark, people insured by Highmark will be able to use, as in-network, some UPMC facilities. And then you see where they are. They're not the ones that you would normally, if you live in Pittsburgh, want to go to, like the aforementioned Presby, Shadyside, McGee, Passivant. I don't know if Passivant is on there. Yeah, right. None of those are available to Blue Cross. The ones that are available are, get this, UPMC Hammett. Where the hell's that? Well, you can go there if you have it's good to know. UPMC Northwest. Where the hell's that? You can go there if you have Highmark. UPMC Bedford. I assume that's in Bedford. Why the hell would we want to go to Bedford? UPMC Altoona. Oh, it's all their biggies that they're going to let the Highmark folks go to. Off limits will be all the flagship hospitals. McGee Women's. Can't go, Highmarkers. Montefiore, Passivant, Presby, Shadyside, St. Margaret, McKeesport, and their all-new UPMC East out there in Monroeville. Absolutely not. Out of network. You want to go there? You better have some bucks. This is some kind of wonderful truth. And then listen to this. So they hold a news conference in which the guys from UPMC and from Highmark make statements. And during the news conference, the governor and others were trumpeting the fact that, here, there's a quote from Corbett. Highmark customers will be able to stay with their UPMC oncologist, here's what the governor said, until, yes it is, until you have beaten the disease, even if it takes years. So that's what the governor said. And then the president of Highmark stressed that Highmark customers will have 100% access to UPMC oncology care. So both the governor and Highmark said of this truce that don't worry if you're fighting cancer and your doc's at UPMC, but you got a Highmark insurance card, you're okay. Don't stress yourself. However, this is, again, UPMC, who I'm starting to see as like Snidely Whiplash, coming in his black opera cape, twirling his mustaches. Minutes later, Snidely, UPMC, put out a news release telling patients that UPMC's Hillman Cancer Center, while technically available, is not in network. And reminding area businesses that, quote, this is what UPMC said right after the governor said, don't worry, to cancer patients. Quote, the only way a patient can be assured of full, in-network access to UPMC doctors and hospitals they want is to change insurers now. That's what UPMC says. So, I can't believe this is allowed. I can't believe this is allowed. I'm serious. Healthcare in America. Why, today the news just keeps on a-coming of how absurd it is. So now when you're looking for a job, ladies, especially ladies, make sure, well, it can be anybody, because a guy, if your family's going to get family coverage because of your job, make sure you know the religious affiliation of your employer. If it's a tightly held, I believe it's called closely held, actually, company. I think that's the legal term, more than tightly. Tightly just seems a little bit too, I don't know, breathless. Okay, so, okay, the outrage reaction is starting to pour in. Yep, it is 5-4. The Supreme Court's decision announced today, blah, blah, blah. This is a sad day. This is from a secular coalition of America. A sad day for anyone who believes in true religious freedom. With this decision, the Supreme Court sets a terrible precedent for religious interference in individual choice. This decision allows a for-profit business to impose the religious preference of and practices of its owner on its employees, leaving the religious freedom of millions of Americans at the mercy of their individual employers. Yeah, that's sort of the way I see it too. So be careful. I mean, I know a lot of people are desperate for jobs, but be careful of who you work for. Unbelievable. And back on the UPMC front, since much of the time of UPMC is spent in business dealings and legal proceedings, because, as you know, their mission is health care. So, right underneath Romoff is a woman. I've talked about her before, Elizabeth Concordia. Elizabeth Concordia, feared by those in the know at UPMC. And she is an executive vice president. She was told by a judge. We got a caller. Hello?
Hey, Lynn.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
I'm okay.
I'm glad that you're slowly recovering from your injuries and stuff. Hey, this is Michael from Polish Hill. Mm-hmm. And once again, I can barely hear you on this phone connection, but I wanted to mention I thought it was really funny that the Supreme Court unanimously made that decision, which I think was a righteous one, that you could not search people's cell phones.
Right.
But my thought was, like, imagine what kind of horrible, ugly porno that Clarence Thomas has on his phone, or even Scalia probably has on their phone, that they were like, oh, no, well, don't search our cell phones, we have those. But, okay, you can search ladies' vaginas and rule over them. That's so funny.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry you can't hear me very well, but I mean,
no, I can't.
Okay, I absolutely agree that these guys seem incapable of comprehending anything outside of their own personal experience. You know, they understand the cell phone thing, but when it has to do with, you're right, vaginas, no, they don't understand that. Their own personal views so clearly invade their supposed judicial opinions that it's really stunning. I don't know that I've ever seen anything like it.
Well, see, the thing is, isn't that the complete opposite of what the Supreme Court is supposed to do?
Of course.
The Supreme Court is supposed to rule constitutionally for everybody. They're not supposed to just rule on their own groins or their own personal area of thinking or their own personal politics. It's the complete opposite of what the Supreme Court is supposed to be. And how are these people in there? Oh, and they're in there for life.
Yeah. And they can afford the best of health care, I'm sure, since taxpayers have given them a Cadillac plan. So unfortunately, they're going to live long past their due date.
Well, that's the same thing with the goddamn Congress. They're like, oh, we can't give veterans health care, and we can't afford all these things like Medicare and Medicaid and stuff. Meanwhile, we are paying, people that are working are paying for them to all have Cadillac plans. And it's just, I don't understand, like you said before, I do not understand why people are not in the streets with pitchforks. Why aren't people rising up? Well, people don't even have, people are working so hard just to provide for their families that they can't even worry about it, they know what's going on. But it makes you so mad.
No, it does. And I don't know what's with Americans. They're either okay themselves, so they don't care, or you're right, they're working so hard, they can't take a day off to picket because they won't be paid if they take a day off. I don't know.
Well, the other thing is they don't even get a day off to vote. And now, like you've mentioned before and is always in the news, now all these states are saying, oh, no, you can't vote on Sunday. Oh, no, you can't vote if you don't have an ID. Oh, no. So even the few people that can or want to vote are like, oh, my God, I can't even vote. It's just... I don't know what's going to happen, Lynn. What are we going to do? We're going to have to move to France? No. We'll have to move somewhere. This is terrible.
I can't go to France because all the Jews are leaving France.
I know. Can you believe the anti-Semitism that's going on in Europe now?
I guess,
insane.
every maybe 6-7 decades, the Europeans just get this itch. They got to kill Jews. I don't know. They got to blame Jews for everything that's going on. And I mean, they almost wiped us out last time around. So how can they think Jews are still the 6 or 7 that they didn't kill? How can they think they're still running things? I can't stand them. Anyway, thank you, Michael.
Well, that always goes back to the, you can go back to George Orwell or any of those things. When things get tight, you always have to have some sort of enemy, whether it's fictional or real,
and
or whether there's 2 or 3 of them. You have to invent some sort of 3 minutes of hate.
Yeah, and the Jew is absolutely the classic scapegoat, has been for thousands of years. So that's it. I mean,
hey, well, why not? You eat babies, right?
Oh, well, no, we just drain their blood to make masa. Goodbye.
You. Okay, sorry for my rant. I'll talk to you soon.
No,
love you.
Bye. Love you too, Michael. Jesus. Okay, so anyway, Concordia, Romoff's right hand, was saying she was trying not to have to give a deposition. The deposition, guys, is about the shooting at UPMC Western Psych. You remember? 2 of the people who were shot say, and they're suing UPMC, understandably, and they both, Catherine Light is one of them, and Jeremy Byers, they were both wounded. They both say and have sworn that Ms. Concordia visited them in their hospital rooms a day or 2 after they were shot, and told them, they both independently, they were not in the same room, they both independently say, she came into my room and she said that I didn't need to worry about anything and that our medical bills would be taken care of. Just you get better, don't worry. But last month, these two received a letter from UPMC. Snidely whiplash. And UPMC informed these two, who had been shot on their premises, that it planned to collect more than $200,000 from each of them in medical charges. And they were going to take this money out of any settlement money that these guys managed to receive from this, from the shooter's insurance. He had a $500,000 renter's insurance policy. And now UPMC, upon hearing that, says to these two, well, we're going to take it, you know, let's say you're going to get $100,000 each victim, $100,000 from it. We're taking that money, and that'll help to pay your bill with us. We provided an unsafe job site for you in which you ended up getting shot. And then we cared for you in our own facility. And we now are going to take the money that you are being given as compensation for your injuries to pay for our care of you, when these two said they were assured they wouldn't have to pay. Concordia says, listen, this is a sworn statement she made. On March 8th, 2012, and thereafter, I did not visit with or speak to Catherine Light or Jeremy Byers while they were being treated at UPMC. Accordingly, I did not make any statements or promises to them related to their medical bills. Okay? So we either have two lying gunshot victims here, or we have one lying UPMC executive vice president. She says, not only didn't I ever say that to him, I never saw him. I never visited them in their room. Wow. Put me on a jury. Put me on a jury. I would tell you in a minute who I'm inclined to believe in this she said, they said. UPMC, I'll tell you, always taking the high road. Always reaching out to make friends with the community and to do the right thing. You gotta love them. Not. That's it for me. I am going to go drown my sorrows in, I don't know what. Damn this court. And I'll be back tomorrow with my sister Susan, who I bet will be on, I bet she'll have a bee in her bonnet about this. And as a lawyer, she might be able to speak of it in more articulate terms than her sputtering, emotional older sister. Okay? Have a good one.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.